Hello, welcome to this new episode of the Alex Show TV. This episode is from October the 3rd of the year 2025. Today's a Friday. Today's going to be an interesting one. The Archons, do they control us? As we continue through this path, we have been going, for about a month and a half now, 10 shows, something like that, 2 months. And yes, we have talked about the Demiurge, the alleged creator of the Matrix, and apparently the Archons work for the Demiurge, and the main Archon or the leader, Yaldabaoth, is the Demiurge. So it's like these gatekeepers, these controllers of this Matrix, this material density reality that, like quicksand, will trap us and will actually invite us to come back over and over and over again to experiment in a very confused, involuted way, to experiment this reality over and over and over again. I want to clarify, as all my shows, that what you get here are my feelings, are this information. I take it, I put it in a blender inside me, call my intuition, and then I give you back whatever that blender tells me. So I'm not passing this as facts. I'm not passing this as truth. I'm not passing this as this is the way this reality works. I'm giving you my feelings, okay? But of course, you're going to notice as we go through the show, and by the way, we have 4 clips to watch from a support video, plus some presentations I prepare with information. As we go through all this information, you're going to notice that, yes, I do attach to this notion that the Archons, I don't believe they control us willingly. I believe that control is a soft control, and I'm going to explain how that works. Because we have so much to watch, let's start. Let me put my headphones on, so I don't have them. Let's start with the first video, which is a general explanation of who the Archons are. By the way, this video originally in Spanish, the full video, translated as always by Hagen. Thank you, Hagen, for their free service that they allow 3 videos per month, up to 3 minutes each video. So thank you, Hagen, for this service. The video is translated in an excellent way. I do hope eventually the YouTube auto-dubbing function will reach that level. I'm sure it will eventually in the next months or years. Let's watch the explanation, the general explanation of who the Archons are.
Gnosticism is a philosophical and spiritual movement that seeks to understand the universe through gnosis, a deep and direct knowledge of divine truth. Unlike religions that promote blind faith, Gnosticism focuses on personal experience and inner discovery. Since for Gnostics, the material world is neither a perfect nor a divine creation. It is a place of imperfection, suffering, and illusional veil that hides the true spiritual nature of human beings, designed to be full of distractions that distance us from our divine origin. In the Gnostic worldview, the material world was created by the Demiurge, a lesser and imperfect deity who lacks full knowledge of the supreme divinity. This being, ignorant of its own limitations, proclaimed itself the only god and shaped a flawed universe. However, this Demiurge is not alone in his task, as he is aided by the Archons, entities that act as guardians of the material universe. These forces manipulate and control human souls, keeping them trapped in a cycle of ignorance, fear, and desire. According to Gnosticism, most people live in a state of spiritual sleep, which is caused by these beings. This means they are disconnected from their true divine nature, trapped in a routine of material concerns and false beliefs imposed by the Archons. In contrast, spiritual awakening occurs when a person begins to question the reality around them and seeks deep knowledge of their divine origin. This awakening not only frees the soul from the control of the Archons, but also reveals the true essence of the universe. Now that we understand the Gnostic context and the challenges it presents, let's delve into the spheres governed by the Archons and discover how we can transcend them.
Okay, as I said, this was a general introduction to the Gnosticism, Gnostic belief, let's call it like that this is an imperfect world, this is a material world, this is a dense world. I attach to that, by the way. That doesn't make me a Gnostic. Please don't label me. I'm not a Buddhist, I'm not a Gnostic, I'm not a Stoic. I don't attach to these labels. I think they limit you in a way. It's part of the game, it's part of the chess game, of the mazes within the mazes. You are what you are. You don't need a belief. Trust me, this information, if you feel it inside you, it's there. If you don't feel it, there's a reason for that. And I'm not saying that you are wrong and I'm right, or the opposite. I'm just saying at this moment, that's what you need to resonate with. So we are going to watch in 2 separate videos. The first one, we're going to want to watch the first 3 Archons, and then it's 3 and 4. That's the way I could separate it. They're very short, around 2 minutes each video. And the Archons are reference to celestial bodies, okay? And I made this clarification on the Spanish show, because as I've been doing lately the last few months, this show will go out here and will go out on elshowdelix.tv in 2 weeks. But it's already prepared. Actually, I did the Spanish one first in this case. And as I mentioned there, I want to clarify this is not a knock on astrology or numerology or these fields that analyze the forces of celestial bodies and how they impact us and that. I think in a way, the 7 archons were just related to the visible celestial bodies. By the way, who they are, the sun and the moon too, and then Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Okay, so those are the 7 celestial bodies visible from Earth that the archons were related to, and apparently the explanation is that they control those celestial bodies, each archon, and through there, from Saturn, from Jupiter, from the moon, and the moon, by the way, is Yaldabaoth, the leader, from the moon, from the sun, they're sending this energy. I don't necessarily attach to that, okay? Because I, for example, feel different resonance from all these celestial bodies. And from the moon, I shared many times, it doesn't feel like there's something there, okay? And there's a story that we had a different moon, much smaller, which makes all the sense in the world. I mean, just think about it in nature. In a natural possibility, will a celestial body be 400 times smaller than a moon will be 400 times smaller than, in this case, the sun, and it will be exactly at 400 times closer. So it can block the sun from us. I think that's the point there, that from the moon, it's really the red flag. So it's pretty strange because the moon, feels nothing there, and the Yaldabaoth is apparently controlling the moon. But from the sun is the creator of the solar system, and this system that the sun will create its planets. So the planets are actually kind of the parent is the sun, and then the moons are created by their own planets. So there are planets that feel that they don't need moons, and there are planets like Saturn feel that they need 20 moons or whatever it has. Okay, so that's the way, and it makes a lot of sense because Saturn is quite a large planet. But if you think about it, the moon, the terrestrial moon, the Earth moon, is actually the 4th or 5th biggest moon in the solar system, and the Earth is not even close to the size of, for example, Jupiter and Saturn. Okay, so just put that in context. That I do feel I made a show on the moon, and I shared that as much. It's very long time ago. It's episode 17. It's probably due for a remake, and I'll probably redo it soon. Because it's a very interesting subject, and I attach to the minority position that the moon is actually, this moon that we have right now is actually hollow, doesn't have anything inside, and is actually there for a purpose. It's not a celestial body, natural, okay? So let's not deviate from the subject, the archons. Let's watch the first support video with the 3 first archons, and I will continue giving you my thoughts and my feelings on this very interesting subject. The archons, do they control us?
Saturn, restriction. The Aeon is the archon of Saturn and embodies restriction and time. He is the force that reinforces the sense of limitation, from self-imposed barriers to the structures that sustain repetitive cycles. As ruler of this sphere, the Aeon reflects the weight of obligations, repetitive cycles, and the unyielding rules that make us feel trapped. On a more practical level, this influence can manifest as monotonous routines, the feeling of being constantly pressured by time, or limiting beliefs that hinder our personal and spiritual growth. For the Gnostics, overcoming this fear means recognizing and transcending these restrictions, freeing ourselves from the chains of time and space to connect with our true essence. Mercury. Deception. Armas is the archon of Mercury. He symbolizes deception and manipulation. This sphere reflects the distractions and false narratives that keep us trapped, from misinformation to the illusions created by our own minds. Overcoming this fear means freeing the mind from illusions and false narratives that keep us trapped in a distorted reality. This involves developing the ability to discern between what is authentic and what is manipulation, questioning perceived reality, seeking inner truth, and avoiding empty distractions. Venus. The desire. The archon known as Kalila Men is located in the sphere of Venus. It embodies earthly desire and passions. This influence encourages the unnecessary pursuit of material and emotional pleasures, diverting our attention from the spiritual path. Overcoming its sphere means freeing oneself from the dominion of desire and earthly passions that distract our attention from spiritual growth. Transcending this sphere requires self-mastery, detachment, and inner connection.
Okay, so we're gonna go back a long while since I did a kind of presentation style, but this information it's needed that represented on the screen. Let's start with the first Archon, Sarn Elios, and it's the Archon of limitation, self-imposed barriers, vicious circle. If you feel you're stuck, if you feel you're limited, if you feel you're small, if you feel you're kind of a victim, you don't have the power for this reality that, it's so difficult. And I understand it's so difficult, but the intention of this Archon is for you to put yourself limits and say, I cannot do it. Okay. I shared on the Spanish version of this show that episode 3, all your limits are self-imposed, just came out naturally. I started the first one called You, and it's about this self-discovery. Then the second one is Then. That's a strange one because I went with the story of the Anunnaki, and that maybe was a little bit off for the time. But then episode 3, all your limits are self-imposed. And I remember someone telling me, well, I'm sorry, but you're an idiot like that. It was a hard comment out there in Mitchell. Because if I throw myself from a building, I'm gonna die. So I'm not limitless. I have limits. Yes, of course, in the physical, and that's what Saturn will stress, that you are here in the physical limited, and I agree on that. But we're not just physical. That's the discovery. Discovering that you're a divine spark, that you're a spirit, and the spirit doesn't have limits. If you impose any limits on the spirit, you are doing it on yourself. You have self-imposed limits. So, because you're truly a spirit and not a body and not a human, all your limits are self-imposed. I hope it makes sense. I never said it was in this reality that you're going to fly and that. It's even possible, but it's not the point. I understand. But in a way, the work of this Archon is for you to believe that you're just that, okay, that you're just a human and you're not this divine spark. So you are very limited in what you can do, especially what you can do with your eternal life, with your life beyond this experience you're having in a limited, dense material matrix, okay? So I hope it makes sense. Let's look at the second one. Mercury, Armas, deception, false narratives, illusions, disinformation, the mazes within the mazes, the chess game, okay? So many people have told me, I've stopped researching because the more I research, the less I understand. Yes, that's part of the convoluted information in this reality. That's why you have to put it in your own blender, okay? Even as I'm sharing a lot of information on the show, take everything, put it inside your own intuition, and you are gonna cook a meal that's gonna come out, and that's what's needed for you. I hope it makes sense. There is no a one-size-fits-all solution, and that's the problem with information, with knowledge. So different from wisdom that it's there at the right time, it's there in the right amount, it's the right information you need at the moment, okay? So if you take all these and the answer is it's all BS, then it's all BS, okay, for you at this time. It's not something you need to worry at this time. Does it make sense? Because it's not certainly absolute information. That's why I say the truth is an angle, the truth is a view. Okay, we watch a car, I watch it from the front, you watch it from the back, it's still a car, it's still the same car. A piece of art, we watch it from one angle with certain light and everything. It looks so different. Sometimes if you look at in a very deep angle, it's almost not recognizable. So again, the truth is like a sphere, and you will get to a point, and you're probably more advanced than me in that sense, that you are getting more information that I still don't get. And that's why I share with some people that share stuff with me, and I say, no, it's not going through. And they say, maybe you're not ready at this time. And yes, they're right, okay? So, as I said, I'm going to share my feelings. And for me, the Archon from Mercury Armas is really all of this confusion if you start trying to make sense. So if you refrain yourself from the need that things need to make sense, if you refrain yourself from the need to being right all the time, you are kind of keeping it at bay. That's my offering. That's my suggestion at this time. Okay. Same, the suggestion with Saturn will be, with Elias will be discovering yourself, discovering that you don't have any self-imposed barriers, that you don't have any barriers as a spirit. And that works great when we pass. That works great in death, because if we know then, if we are 100% sure then that we don't have any imposed limits, you can leave this reality. So that's when the question of the Archons, do they control us, is relative. At that point, they don't control. Okay, so I hope it makes sense. Let's read about the third one. Venus, Kalila Ombri. Oh, this one is a tough one. This one is a tough one. This one is a tough one. Desire, early passions, addiction is not just sex, okay? Because that will be the first thing maybe that will come to our minds. All of this desire for food, for drink, for gambling, for entertainment, for information, for money, for power, obsessions with health. But I'm talking about not being healthy, but obsessively going to the gym 8 hours a day and growing these muscles because that obsessions, okay, that this reality will bring. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having a nice meal with some friends, some family, or even alone. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with drinking a couple of beers or anything like that, or having a pizza. It's the desire. Same with sex. I had a show recently, a couple of months ago, of the interchange during sex, and the point was exactly don't fall for the Archon Venus, for Kalila Ombre. When you do sex just to have sex, just for the pleasure, for the early passion, for the addiction to it, then in a way you are falling for that. When you do it because you care about the other person, because you care about the connection, then you are not falling on this purely early passion desire. I hope it makes sense. This one is a tough one. This one is a tough one, okay? Because I guess the only way not to fall for this one is like monks and people that go to monasteries and they try to have as little as early passions as possible, as little as information, as little as sex, as little as, for example, things like drink and food is very basic. They grow their own. I don't think they have pizza or hamburgers or all of these early desires, early passions. Okay, they don't go out of there in vacations, which is another early passion, early desire, and they don't even talk to other people, which is another way of going to this reality. So this one, I'm not saying it's impossible, but this one they get us with that. And by the way, money is a huge part of the Archon Venus Kalila Ombre, because this obsession with money, this you have to make more and more and more. Is it really? It's good to make money, but again, I always say it's such a difficult energy exactly because of this, and I say that intuitively. Energy is such a difficult energy because you, of course, want sufficient or more, but don't allow it to control you. Don't allow it to become a desire. Don't allow it to become an early passion. Understand that it's just a tool. It's just a tool for this reality. It's a tool they have implemented. With the money, you are really in trouble with this in this reality. Even if we say, I'm going to make it and that, I've heard so many stories of people trying to make it without money. And all of those that say these stories of going to the woods, and they need money. They need money for the system they implemented, for the energy systems they implemented, for the cars they're using to transport themselves. They need, or the horses, or the guns, or the food. On that, they didn't share that part of the story, right? It makes it seem like everything fell from the sky. It doesn't work that way in this reality. The only thing we get for free and abundant is air. It's the only thing. And if you're in a mine, a submarine, even that doesn't work. Okay, so. Let's watch the second support video on the other 4 Archons. I will continue giving you my feelings, my thoughts on this very interesting subject.
Sunday, the authority. Yao is the Archon of the Sun and represents authority and power. He is the force that perpetuates structures of control, from political systems to social hierarchies that restrict freedom and do nothing but reinforce the dominion of the Archons. Overcoming his influence means questioning power structures, reaffirming spiritual autonomy, and cultivating personal sovereignty. This means freeing yourself from oppressive authority and reclaiming your inner power to guide your own path towards spiritual awakening. Mars. Violence. Sabaoth is the ruler of Mars. He symbolizes violence and aggression. This Archon fuels conflicts, wars, and constant competition, diverting the energy of souls toward chaos and suffering. Transcending this sphere means you must cultivate inner peace, break patterns of conflict, and foster harmony. Jupiter, harsh justice. Adonaios is the ruler of Jupiter. He represents harsh justice and the imposition of laws. This sphere reflects the rigidity of systems that impose guilt, judgment, and punishment, limiting the soul's ability to grow and become free. Overcoming the rule of Adonaios means breaking free from guilt, questioning rigid laws, and practicing forgiveness. The Moon, ignorance. The Moon is ruled by Yaldabaoth, the leader of the Archons and creator of the material world. It represents ignorance, the state of spiritual disconnection in which humanity lives. Under its influence, people accept the material world as the only reality, forgetting their divine origin. Transcending the moon requires awakening to the truth, seeking deep knowledge, and questioning apparent reality.
Okay, so let's go for it. The sun, Yao. As I continue going, I'm not saying all of this came intuitive, okay? I believe it was episode 17, okay? Going from hierarchies to balance. And that title was strange because balance sounds like neutrality and that. No, balance comes from the law of universal law of balance, which means that there are no hierarchical structures in the universe, okay? There's no politics. It's just in these material dense realities that works that way. The authority, the submission, that, oh yeah, I should do that and that. There are no need of laws in other realities more advanced because we know how to behave. The participants of those realities, they don't need to be punished all the time. There are no jails. There are no policemen. These things, they work in this reality and they have impregnated us. They have implanted us. One of the 365 programs they put on us, that, and it's a multiple program because it works. No, there has to be an authority. If not, look at at Mad Max movies. That's why they make those movies. Okay, they really push you to fear of saying, "Wow, if authority falls one day, it's gonna be horrible." Maybe, but maybe also if it falls when we learn how to behave, when we understand how to behave, because there's no need for policemen, for authority, for hierarchies, for politics, for laws when we are out there, for example, in a social engagement or a family engagement. Everything works out great because there's mutual respect. We all respect. We all understand we're brothers and sisters. And some say yes, because literally they are your brothers and sisters and fathers and cousins and aunts and that. Or friends, which, as I share many times, I believe friends become family and family becomes friends. Why should the word wouldn't work that way? The only thing needed is to understand, one, we don't need authority, we don't need hierarchies, we don't need politicians, we don't need laws, and understanding and respecting each other through the law of balance, that we're brothers and sisters, all of us. Doesn't matter the color of your skin, doesn't matter your gender, doesn't matter your country, doesn't matter you're short or tall, slim or robust. It doesn't matter anything. It doesn't matter if you have read or not. It doesn't matter if you have any knowledge or not. We're all brothers and sisters. You don't question family when you're at a family engagement, or you don't question friends when you're at a social engagement. You don't say, I'm superior to these guys. And no, you don't. Okay, I'm sure it probably happens, but I'm saying normally you don't. You just enjoy it, okay? Well, that same way will work. But we have this impregnated implantation that no, you have to listen to your government. You have to, and we know what happened 5 years ago. There's no need to go through that. That I believe it was a huge, huge part of the Archons song. Yeah, what happened, and all the ones of you that question that, I believe you were distancing yourself from the programming of this Archon. Okay, Mars Sabaoth. Yeah, this is the one I mentioned the most. Okay, violence, aggression, conflict, wars, competition. And why competition? Maybe competition is the odd word here. Violence, aggression, conflict, war sounds like a similar thing. And then competition. Competition is good. I want to be better. I want to be better than others. Well, competition drives that violent spark in us of we have to be better no matter what. And also it's a little bit different in a way, but it's also through the Archon Mars from Mars about that you are competing all your life. And I've talked to people that are in their 70s and 80s, and it's very saddening that they say, I didn't understand now that I'm this age what I was doing. I just knew I was running in a competition that every day I had to be better and better and better and more and more and more. And if you had a business, more money, growth, a second business, a third business, 5 businesses, 50 businesses, growth every year. And if you were an employee, more positions and more salary and grow this salary and give me more money and give me more responsibilities. And at the end, kind of everything slows down. And what was the competition, by the way? I mean, what is the prize, or who won, or nothing? Because we were indulged, same as we desire, same with the submission to government, same on all these. We were just out there doing it blindly without questioning. Okay. Third one, Jupiter Adonaios. This is a tough one as well. On this one, I'm gonna make a reference that I shared many times, and I continue to reference. And I know some of you may don't like it because it's a sad story, but the Menendez story, Menendez brothers story. Jupiter Adonai, justice through violence, revenge, eye for an eye, justification, justice and justification seem like the same word in a way. And I believe justice was invented in these involuted material dense realities to justify actions, okay? To justify violence in a way, to justify revenge, to justify eye for an eye. This has been going on for millions of years, hundreds of thousands of years. This notion that you did it to me, I do it to you. I'm justified because that's just. And we need to go beyond that. That's the maze within the maze within the maze. That's the chess game. We need to question it a little bit more than that. And I shared, let's go outside Earth now. I shared, for example, the story of the Pleiadians. But there's a very little known story that a long time ago, the Pleiadians were a lot different. And they went and actually invaded a world full of reptilians. The notion right now, the judgment is the Pleiadians are great, love, everything advanced. The reptilians are awful, they're animals. Okay. That's the judgment right now, I believe. But on that one, the Pleiadians went and totally destroyed that world of the reptilians. And then the reptilians, through this involution of justice, went and did that to other worlds that didn't do anything to them. Through the justification, it was done to us, we're going to do it to someone else. The eye for an eye has never worked. The revenge has never worked. The justice through violence has never worked. Justice is justification. And someone told me once, justice is justified revenge. Totally. Moxie, you're not here, and I know you didn't make the jump to YouTube. You told me that a long time ago. Still resonates with me. Still resonates. You're totally right. You're totally right. We're fed this need, this passion, this desire of justice. And I shared the story of a Netflix documentary on a guy that killed 30 gay people out there in Chicago in, I believe, the 1970s. And he, of course, was caught and he was sentenced to death, which is in the state of Illinois in Chicago. That is one of the states in the United States that exist. And they were shown at the end, it was 4 or 5 shows, 4 or 5 episodes. The end is the actual execution, but they were actual images. It was not a recreation. And people that didn't know the victims, didn't know the guy that did it, and they were out there, yeah, fry him, yeah, kill him, make him suffer. That's the Archon Jupiter. That's how Adonai is working through you, okay? You don't even know them. It didn't affect you in a way, but you're out there crying justice. And that people that do stuff need to suffer, okay? Like if with suffering, we're gonna evolve. As I said, the eye for an eye, the suffering, the revenge, the justice through violence has been working for millions of years with no apparent didn't help all of these beings evolve. It's when they actually dropped it, when they stop believing in these concepts that they evolve, like the Pleiadians, okay? Because they did evolve. But I'm telling a very little known story of millions of years ago in some worlds out there in a very far away system that the Pleiadians invaded and destroyed the planet of reptilians, okay? That they didn't have it coming to them, but they did it. Why? And then the reptilians used that to go and do that to others through this thing that it was done to me. I'm gonna do it to someone else, okay? And yes, I shared the story. I mentioned the Menendez brothers, but I didn't mention that the same thing. My father, all the story of the father, of the mother, there was an accomplice and all that. So it's justify revenge, the justice through violence, the eye for an eye, justify whatever they did to the parents, but killing them in excessive, very saddening way, but excessive violence. Okay, I don't see it that way. It's not justified. It's 2 different acts. There were 4 victims and 4 victims. And the parents are going to have to deal with whatever they did to their sons, but their sons are going to have to deal with whatever they did to the parents. That's the way the universe evolves when you change, when you dimension, when you stop putting everything in justification. In my acts were justified. I even heard sometimes that wars are justified by God and by Christ and that. Sorry, what a stupid concept. That you go into somewhere else and God is with you, like with soldiers of certain countries because they're fighting terrorists or whatever, all through the banner of justice through violence. So God is with them, okay? He's not with the terrorists. Okay, I don't know what to say to that. And the moon Yaldabaoth, the leader of the Archons, is the moon. Yaldabaoth is the Demiurge, is the creator of all this. And he works through ignorance, through spiritual disconnection, through the material world. If you don't discover who you are, you're helping out Yaldabaoth. Let's just leave it at that, okay? How do you transcend? How do you liberate yourself from the control of the moon of Yaldabaoth? Through spiritual discovery, to discovering who you are, to discovering that you're a divine spark, that you are here, that this is temporary, that this reality, you can leave this reality. This is temporary. If I'm 51, if I'm gonna be here still, let's say 30 years, that's a lot. 40, that's excessive. Let's say 20, 25, that's average out. It's nothing in eternal terms. And I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna try to enjoy it. Even with all of these illusions, that's why I call it soft matrix. This matrix that works through us because it works through our own participation on it. If we don't listen to the 7 Archons, their matrix doesn't work on you. And you can still be in this reality. You can still be with family and friends. You can still enjoy a pizza. You can still enjoy a beer. You can still have some money. You can still do all of these things. But the huge part is understanding exactly when things go overboard and we become prisoners of this material world. If you are here and you understand that once you are done with this experience, you are leaving this reality, you're going to be fine. And that's happening a lot. The information I get, it's a lot of beings are figuring things out and they're leaving this reality. And that's why some of the things, it's like they're doubling down. And that's why some of the things going on with the world, like what happened 5 years ago, we have to do something with that. So we have a final video, sorry about that, but we have a final video because it's such a great explanation about whatever we spoke on this video, and we have been speaking recently in the past few weeks, that I know it's a lot of information, but I didn't want to exclude it because it's such a great way of explaining about the Archons, if they control us, what's the solution here, what's the exit. Let's watch it together. I'm going to give you my final thoughts on this long episode, yes, long Friday episode, but very full of information and very interesting. I hope you're enjoying it and you're going to eventually like it. This support video we're going to watch is probably one of the best clips I've used so far in 3.5 years with the channel. It's that good. So let's watch it together.
Each of these spheres and their archons represents a spiritual obstacle that we face in our daily lives. Ignorance is the lack of knowledge about our true nature. Deception consists of the distractions and lies that surround us. Desire is the constant pursuit of fleeting pleasures. Authority is the submission to systems that limit our freedom. Violence is the aggression and conflict that distance us from inner peace. Harsh justice is the guilt and judgments that bind us to the past. And restriction is the barriers we perceive as insurmountable. Although it is by no means an easy path, understanding how these forces operate gives us the tools to overcome them. Freeing oneself from the influence of the Archons and their creator is to attain the knowledge of Gnosis, which is more than intellectual knowledge. It is a profound awakening that transforms our perception of the world. Through it, people recognize that the material world is an illusion and discover their connection with the divine. To achieve this, we must follow several key steps. Recognize the illusion of the material world, understand that what we perceive as reality is full of deceptions, and realize that our true self is not defined by the limitations of this world. Connect with the inner light. Seek within ourselves that divine spark, which the Gnostics call the seed of the pleroma. This process requires introspection, meditation, and a deep desire for truth. Practice self-knowledge, question imposed beliefs, reflect on our essence, and embrace our shadows as part of the path toward enlightenment. The Archons operate through social, political, and cultural structures, so it is believed that by challenging these hierarchies, we weaken their influence over our lives. And we can also engage in symbolic or philosophical practices such as meditation, self-knowledge, and active seeking. By taking these steps, we begin to break the chains that the Archons have built around us. But what happens when we finally awaken? Well, we must recognize that the Archons are both internal and external obstacles that we face every day. Overcoming them is not just an act of resistance, but an affirmation of our divine essence and our highest potential. This is how Gnosis is attained by leaving the material world and joining the pleroma. So, there is only one thing left to ask you. Are you ready to awaken? Explore knowledge, challenge imposed narratives, and connect with your inner light. Share your thoughts, your experiences, and keep exploring this path towards spiritual freedom. The journey begins now.
Okay, as I said, that last video was necessary, and I knew I was pushing it as far as information. It has been a long while, maybe since the Terrence Howard shows and that I presented so many points, so many bullets. And I know you want shorter shows, and time is of essence. And I hear you, but I felt this one was so important. And that 3 minute support video we just watched, that tells us everything. So I'm gonna just finally answer the question here. Archons, do they control us if we allow it? I know that's probably you want a yes or no answer. It cannot be a no, absolute no, because I don't know how you listening react to the Archons. So do they control us if we allow it? We don't allow it. I'm not saying suddenly this reality becomes easy, please, because then it's not the case. This reality just becomes apparent, I think. And you start figuring out the game, and you start figuring out stuff, and you start figuring out how to behave. Very important. You start figuring out how to react. And at the end, you start figuring out that you came here for a reason, and the reasons are so vast, and that's the question: why are we here? Yes, that's a tough one, and it has a lot to do with empathy, by the way, a lot to do with empathy, and but I don't have the answer, and there are different answers, by the way. I'm pretty sure, but that's not important, as we understand, because we're already seeing the exit. It's like we're in this space, we're in a discotheque, we're in a restaurant, and whatever is going on, it's gonna go on. And the 20 years, 40 years, 80 years, 100 years, whatever it has to go on, is nothing compared in eternal terms. And the exit is very clear now. And we know when we're done, I'm taking the exit. Okay? In gratitude, in full happiness. Not upset, because if you're upset, you are working with one of the Archons, or probably with several of them. Oh, I'm gonna fight them. Okay? I hear people saying, I'm gonna fight them when I die. I'm gonna fight them through dreams. I fight with people, with entities, and you wanna fight them, they're gonna fight you. Okay? You don't wanna fight them, they're not gonna fight you. It works that way. Just answer yourself. Can someone fight another person that doesn't wanna fight? No. Think about it. No. Okay, so it's your decision, whatever way you want to deal with it. And you may say, I love this reality. I love the desires of this reality. I have a lot of money. I have my health. I'm enjoying this reality. I understand what you're saying. You're full of it. That's great. That's great. That's what you need at this time. Maybe you need several other incarnations. And then, again, I don't want to exit because whatever I'm doing, I have a nice life, even this life, and I'm feeling very lucky, extremely lucky. Okay, it's not that. I know a lot of more people are suffering than me. It's not that. It's that I'm pretty sure I don't want this material world. I don't want this dense world right now anymore. Okay, and I had my experiences. That's it, and I cherish them and I appreciate them. So I do really hope if you want to see the exit, that it's not that you're not upset, or it's not through sadness, or it's not because you feel that's the solution. No. That's why someone asked me about the concept of accelerating your process. I don't want to say the word is awful and the algorithm will take it the other way, but the word that starts with S, stopping your life, you deciding that. I think that works in that way because you're doing it in a way that's going to be so difficult to be in harmony that you're going to say, I did that so I could come to this, so I could face the exit. I don't think you're going to be able to reach the exit. They're gonna work with you saying, see, you couldn't make it. You have to come back. This one didn't count. It's like getting out of the game before the game ends or something like that. Or it's like quitting a semester of school halfway through. What happens when you do that? They ask you, I mean, it doesn't count. It doesn't count. When you wanna keep studying, if you drop out of school, for example, that semester you dropped out half doesn't count. You have to redo it. So instead of thinking when this is gonna end, let's just try and enjoy life with the knowledge, with the wisdom that yes, there are the 7 forces and probably many others that are controlling this. It is this way. It's not gonna change anytime soon. The real change is gonna come when no one, absolutely no one listens to the Archons. This world is gonna be the new world. Yes, that's the ascension. That's the 5D. That's the new age. That's that. When no one, absolutely no one listens to them, the show's over. The show's over. It's like a cinema that doesn't have one customer. It's going to shut down. It's not going to keep playing movies for no one. They keep playing movies because they're full. They're full of people that want to watch the stories. They're full of people that want to participate in their desires, in all of these things, in the violence, in the justice for violence, all of these things we have spoken about today. The moment that's not the case, this world is going to change. I'm sorry about that. They don't like us talking about that. Something happened with my throat. I felt it was close enough. That I'm going to end it here, by the way. That moment is going to be the moment this reality changes. And what I wanted to say is I'm totally sure that's going to happen. I just don't have a date. And please, red flags if someone says 2026, end 2025, 2030, 2032, 2035, 2050, 2100. I don't know. It could be 1,000 years. Does it matter? The thing is, this is going to end. I'm totally sure. I'm totally sure eventually. The human beings, the only ones in control of the Archons, because nature is not in control of them, are going to behave like nature. Because they don't abide to these 7 things, and that's why they don't care about nature, because it's beyond their control. And what's going to happen when we're beyond their control, when they cannot control us, they're not going to care about us. They're just going to leave. Okay, they're not going to destroy the world. No. Trust me, they're just going to leave. This doesn't work anymore. It's like someone that tries to control you and trick you, scam you, sell you something that you don't want to buy, whatever you want to say it. And when it doesn't work anymore, they leave you. I used an example, I'm going to finish with that I tried to cancel. I actually was able to cancel a credit card a few years ago. One of the very well-known 4-letter credit card companies. And I was there for an hour and a half, and the guy was trying everything. Free trips, points, whatever, cashback, and all the tools in the arsenal. Eventually I said, it's not going to work. You're losing your time, which you are getting paid for that, but also you're making me lose my time. So I think it's my right, same as your right to take the exit, by the way, same as your right to understand you don't have to be in this reality, but just feel it inside you. You don't have to be in this reality, okay? We are prisoners here right now in a way, but in the moment of death, you can leave. Feel it inside you with all the gratitude, okay? I said, I have the right to cancel. And when I said that, he said, okay, well, he started talking very fast. And by the way, all the terms. And in 5 minutes later, we hung up and the credit card was canceled. So very similar story. They're trying to sell us and sell us and sell us. You keep buying, it's going to keep working. Stop buying, you're fine. Hope it makes sense. Everything's okay. She'll see you back in a week. If there's a chat, I'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Thank you. Thank you very much for watching the show. Have a great day. Take care. Thank you for making it to this part of the video. This is my favorite part. This is where I suggest to you that you discover your true self. You are not what you have been groomed to believe. You are this incredible being without limits that has eternal life, amazing strength, infinite wisdom, and a big, beautiful heart. All your limits are always self-imposed. Your best version in this reality is inside you. Your only mission on this life is to become a beacon of love and to serve others. This version is ready to be discovered today. How do you discover your true self? The discovery process is a personal one. No one can do it for you. Dedicate 5 minutes a day to talk to the universe. Simply ask, who am I? Where do I come from? What is my purpose? You will start getting signs, breadcrumbs, and signals. You will notice how your notions about this reality start disappearing. No more hierarchies, no more competition, no more complaining, no more depending on others. Discovering your true self equals to real freedom. Your self-imposed limits will fall and you will be ready to understand this reality, but you must be patient to allow others to wake up at their time through their own free will. That will be really soon, you will see, and that will set up a new world. As you work towards your best version, you will notice how all emotions don't serve you anymore. Hate, fear, rage, pride, lust, envy, violence, justice, true violence, judgment of others, and other emotions will disappear from your mind and heart. You will understand those emotions are only your egoic mind and are not you. Please try to be understanding of others that don't think or feel like you. Everyone has a process. No one is right or wrong. We're all just different. Don't be concerned about being right, ever. Don't allow pride preventing you from patching things up with family and friends. It's very important you enjoy this life with your loved ones. Put in the work to patch things up and leave it to others to decide. Thank you very much for watching. Please share, like, and subscribe. If you have any comments or suggestions, please use the comment section below. For private questions, conversations, and if you would like to appear on the show, please email me at hey@thealexshow.tv. Thank you again. Please don't forget to visit our website www.thealexshow.tv. By giving me your time, you honor me. Have a very, very, very